Welcome to another deep dive. We're going way back in time today to explore Göbekli Tepe.
Oh, wow.
It's a site in southeastern Turkey that's considered like the world's oldest known temple.
Okay.
And, it dates back to 10,000 BCE.
Wow, that's really early.
Right. It's like way before we thought people were building anything like that.
So, like, what were they building? Like, what kind of temple are we talking about?
Well, our source is actually a blog post.
The blog post.
Yeah, I know it's kind of funny where we find information sometimes, but this one's from the Supernatural Demons Hunter MMORPG game official blog.
Okay, so maybe not the most scholarly source.
Right, but it's got some interesting points, and this article is called Göbekli Tepe, a 10,000-year-old secret to early human civilization.
Okay, so what does it tell us about this temple?
Well, it actually talks about how Göbekli Tepe, like, throws a wrench into everything we thought we knew about early humans.
Okay, how so?
Well, I mean, think about it. We always assumed that temples were built by, like, settled agricultural societies.
Right, they had the resources and this ability to undertake these kinds of projects.
Exactly, but Göbekli Tepe predates agriculture by, like, thousands of years.
So are you saying they were built by hunter-gatherers?
That's what's so mind-blowing. We're talking about a time when people were supposedly just roaming around, following herds of animals and foraging for food.
And yet they managed to construct these elaborate structures?
Not just elaborate. I mean, these things are monumental.
What do you mean?
The blog post mentions that some of the pillars there weigh up to 20 tons.
20 tons. That's like the weight of,
I know, right? And they arrange these massive stones into these, like, circular structures.
it just boggles the mind to think about the effort that must have gone into that,
And the coordination.
especially without, like, modern tools or anything.
All right. We're talking about a time before the wheel, even.
So how did they even do it?
That's the million-dollar question, and archaeologists are still trying to figure it out.
With
But
what?
it's clear that this wasn't just like a random pile of rocks,
Right. It was intentional.
Very much so. These structures were deliberately designed and, like, meticulously constructed.
And then there are the carvings.
Right. Oh, yeah, the card.
I've seen pictures. They're incredibly detailed.
Aren't they? They have all these depictions of animals, abstract symbols, all sorts of, like, enigmatic imagery.
That's like a window into their minds.
It really is. But the meaning is still largely a mystery.
What do you think they were trying to say?
Well, some researchers think the carvings could be like constellations.
Like early astronomical observations?
Maybe.
Or maybe they represent like deities or mythical creatures.
It's possible.
That would suggest they had some pretty complex belief systems even back then.
Right. And then there's the possibility that the carvings served like a more practical purpose.
Like what?
Maybe they were used to mark territory.
Or communicate with other groups.
Yeah, exactly. But here's the kicker. We've only excavated like 5% of Göbekli Tepe.
Wow, only 5%.
So who knows what else is down there waiting to be discovered.
Right. It's like we've only just scratched the surface.
And there's a comment in the blog post that I thought was really interesting.
Oh, yeah. What did it say?
Well, there's this commenter named Jackson who says he's a scholar, and he basically cautions against jumping to conclusions.
He's got a point.
Right. Like, it's easy to get caught up in the mystery and try to impose our own interpretations on the past, but we have to let the evidence speak for itself.
Even if it takes decades to fully understand what we're looking at.
Exactly. Archaeology is a process of, piecing together fragments of the past like a puzzle.
And sometimes those pieces don't fit neatly into our existing narratives.
Right. And that's what makes Göbekli Tepe so exciting. It challenges our assumptions and forces us to rethink what we thought we knew about early humans.
I like how another commenter, Jonah, put it. They see Göbekli Tepe as a potential game changer.
Like a revolution in our understanding of early human history.
Exactly. They even talk about the possibility of discovering even older sites.
Pushing back the timeline of civilization even further.
That's the idea. And it makes you wonder, if Göbekli Tepe could exist at this time, what else might be out there, just waiting to be discovered?
It's a tantalizing thought, and it brings us to another big question. What does the existence of Göbekli Tepe tell us about the relationship between, like, religious practices and the development of complex societies?
Yeah, that's a good one. Well, it's a question that's been debated for ages.
Right.
We've always kind of assumed that organized religion, came about alongside agriculture and settled societies.
Like, you needed a certain level of stability to support a priestly class, build temples, that sort of thing.
Exactly. You need surplus resources,
Right.
to have people dedicated to those roles.
But Göbekli Tepe, it really seems to challenge that.
It does, doesn't it?
It's as if they're saying, like, hey, maybe spirituality, maybe a shared sense of the sacred, like, played a role in bringing people together.
Interesting.
Yeah, and even, like, laying the groundwork for more complex social organization.
That kind of flips the script on how we thought things developed.
It really does, and it just raises so many questions.
Like what?
What did the people who built Göbekli Tepe actually believe in?
Right. What were their rituals like?
Was this like a pilgrimage site where people came from far and wide?
Or was it more for a local community?
And how did they organize such a massive construction project without any, like, central authority?
I mean, we see those kinds of structures in later civilizations.
Right, but this predates all of that.
It's like they were playing by a different set of rules.
Totally. A different way of, understanding how to live and work together.
There are some theories out there.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Well, some scholars think that maybe early religious beliefs acted as a sort of social glue.
Like providing a shared sense of purpose,
Yeah, and a set of common values.
which would have allowed them to cooperate on a larger scale.
Exactly. And some even suggest that the construction of Göbekli Tepe itself might have been a kind of ritual,
Oh, interesting.
like a way to strengthen social bonds.
And create a sense of community.
Right. And, it's worth noting that this blog post doesn't just stick to the archaeological evidence.
Oh, it gets a little more speculative.
It does. It delves into the idea that Göbekli Tepe might be connected to like ancient myths and legends.
No way.
Yeah, the author mentions the Garden of Eden.
Really?
They suggest that Göbekli Tepe could represent like a lost paradise,
Yeah, wow.
where humans first encountered the divine.
That's pretty out there.
It is, and that's where this commenter Jordan jumps in.
What do they say?
Well, they're not so focused on the religious aspect.
Okay.
They're more interested in the idea of Göbekli Tepe as like a technological leap forward.
Interesting.
They compare it to things like AI and gene editing today.
So are they saying we're underestimating our ancestors?
I think so. Jordan seems to be saying that just because we don't fully grasp how they built Göbekli Tepe or what it was for.
Doesn't mean they weren't incredibly advanced in their own way.
Exactly. And maybe there's a lesson in that for us.
Like,
Maybe we're too quick to assume that our way of doing things is the only way.
and that our understanding of the world is complete.
Right. Göbekli Tepe reminds us that there's always more to go over,
More to learn, more to question.
Exactly.
And, another commenter, Hayden, picked up on that theme, too.
Oh, yeah. What did they say?
They drew this fascinating parallel between Göbekli Tepe and
Yeah.
modern-day collective action.
Oh, wow.
They see it as an example of what humans can achieve when they work together towards a common goal.
Like a testament to our collaborative spirit.
Yeah, Hayden points out that even today, with all our technology,
Right.
we still face challenges that require cooperation.
Climate change comes to mind.
Exactly. And they see Göbekli Tepe as a reminder that this ability to work together,
It's part of who we are.
it's been with us since the very beginning.
That's a powerful message.
It really is. And maybe it's one of the most important ones that Göbekli Tepe offers.
You think so?
Do you know, in a world that often feels divided and fractured,
Yeah, I feel that.
Göbekli Tepe is like this testament to the enduring power of human connection,
It really is remarkable.
It shows that we can create incredible things when we work together.
I agree.
It really makes you think, like this site built thousands of years ago can still like teach us something about being human.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible, isn't it?
It is. And as we're wrapping up this deep dive, I'm curious, what's been like the most impactful part of this for you?
It's a good question. I think what really gets me is how Göbekli Tepe forces us to kind of reevaluate our place in the grand scheme of things.
How do you mean?
Well, it's like a reminder that our written history, everything we think we know about civilization, it's just a tiny piece of the puzzle.
Oh, I see what you mean.
It's humbling, right?
Yeah.
It makes you wonder, like, what else is out
Like,
there?
other secrets are we missing?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, what's buried beneath the sands of time? Or maybe even hidden in plain sight.
It's a bit mind-blowing when you think about it.
It is. We tend to view ourselves as, the peak of progress.
Right at the top of the evolutionary ladder.
But then you have this site, like Göbekli Tepe.
Predating everything we thought we knew about complex societies.
It really throws a wrench in the works.
It shows that our ancestors were capable of so much more than we give them credit for.
For sure. And I think it highlights the importance of staying open-minded.
Not getting stuck in our assumptions.
Right. Being willing to question even our most deeply held beliefs about the past.
Because, hey, who knows what we'll discover next?
Exactly. I mean, Göbekli Tepe wasn't even discovered until like the late 20th century.
Relatively recently.
So who's to say what other amazing finds are waiting out there?
Discoveries that could totally change how we understand history.
Absolutely. And that's what's so exciting about archaeology.
It's a never-ending journey of discovery.
Yeah. And it's not just about digging up artifacts. It's about unearthing new ideas,
New perspectives.
new ways of seeing the world and our place in it.
And, Göbekli Tepe is such a great example of that.
How so?
Because it's not just about the past, it speaks to us in the present, too.
That's true. It makes us think about who we are
Where we came from.
and what we're capable of achieving.
Yeah, it's a reminder that the human story is still being written.
And that there's always more to learn,
More to explore.
more to wonder about.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into Göbekli Tepe, I want to leave our listeners with this thought.
Okay, I'm listening.
Let curiosity be your guide.
I like that.
Don't be afraid to explore the unfamiliar,
To challenge the status quo.
Exactly. You never know what incredible discoveries might be waiting just around the corner.
Or even right beneath your feet.
That's it for this episode of The Deep Dive.
Until next time.
Keep exploring, everyone, and stay curious.